Okay, today's video we're going to go over the SOA and working with the database adapter again to grab data and then use it to grab other data and then cycle through that data using a while activity and writing it to a file. Here I have my process, and what I'm going to be doing is providing an employee ID for the HR schema to the BEPL process, which will then use that employee, look up that employee's department ID, and then grab all of the employees in that department. This is something you often frequently have to do when manipulating data, grab data from other data sets that are based on some relationship to the first data set you had. So we're going to do that, and you can see here that I assign the employee ID, I get the department ID, I assign the department ID, I go out and grab the department IDs, and then I get the emp count, which is the count of all of the employees for that department based on the, no, I can double click this, I think this is better. Here you can see the count, and I also have a while in, just I'm setting that to 1. And then in my while activity, I first assign the first position of the while in variable, which is 1, and then the next one would be 2, then 3, then 4, whatever, based on how many employees were in that department. And then I decrement the while in. And I write each one of these to a file. So it's a relatively simple but interesting process how we get data from one source, use it to grab data from another source, and then I write it to a file because I actually want to see that what I'm outputting or what I'm sending somewhere is actually the version of the correct data. I know that with flow in activities in the newer 11G versions, there's been issues with it not working properly, and we will go over that one in another video. But with while activity, it does work. And it first does this, then this, then this, then loops, does this, loops, and does this, and this, and this. Excuse me, until this is satisfied, which is that the while in count is less than, or it's not satisfied right now, and it's less than the employee count. And the while in, did I decrement it here? Oh, it's plussing. My apologies. At any rate, it's incorrectly named. So let's, while in adder, good enough name for this version. Okay, so let's see how this works when we deploy. And I will go over to Enterprise Manager in a second. Okay, here we are in Enterprise Manager. So what I'm going to be doing is feeding the service a employee ID, and you can see that over here I have department 30 and all the employee ID or employee department IDs associated with these 6 staff, and I'm going to feed in this person's employee ID, and I'm going to test the service, and it finishes in 150 or 1.5 seconds. And you can see that my BEPL process loop worked. And you can see that the employee ID is being assigned here. And I also have one of the things that I have is that this is the number of employees, and this is the while in variable that I have been assigning. So if we go at a further record here, you can see that it's 2 out of 6 now. Kind of irritating how that pops up. And this should be 3 out of 6. So it's increasing, and all of the people are different. And if we go over to Windows Explorer, I'm on a Windows machine, you can see that there are people here. And you will note, though, that while loops are helpful, they do have to be properly configured, because once we go over to my SQL+, we have 3 and 3. And if that, my 5-year-old would tell me that would be 6. So we need to reconfigure that WhileActivity so that it is greater than or equal to. So testing is rather important to make sure that, in fact, what you expect is going to happen. And we will deploy and test once more again. Okay, I'm first going to wipe these out, and then I'm going to test my web service again, and it's done in 218 milliseconds. And you can see that there are 6 files here. Not going to go through them all, but they are the data that we wanted. So that is how to do a while loop. Make sure that you have your while loop activity properly configured so that it is grabbing all of the data that circulates through the while. Thank you very much. I hope that was helpful. Have a good day.